Sharing, hang on, sharing. Okay. It is March 18th, 2024. It's the day after Selection Sunday. We've had about 23 hours since the selection show began, so plenty of time to think the bracket over, think of what's gone down within the last 24 hours of how things shook out, what schools are upset, all that stuff. There's a lot going on. And, it's the beauty of the tournament. And I think I'm pretty split on how the committee did. I don't know. I think
you're okay, but not okay. Is that what you're saying?
Let's get into it. The bracket comes out, and the big thing right away is the Big East gets 3 bids. And I think there's a couple schools of thought in the Big East and what happened. I think the team that should be most upset is Seton Hall, who, if the committee's going to sit there and value certain things over other things, which I think there's a couple teams where you could say the committee values this with one team and they don't value this with the other team. I think a prime example of that is Virginia getting in, and a committee chair said something to the effect of they didn't have any bad losses. FAU gets an 8 seed. They're not even on the bubble, and they have 2 quad 4 losses. So I feel like rules for thee, but not for me for some of these teams, to use a phrase that a lot of libertarians use, I suppose, with those 2 teams. But I will say for the Big East, I think if you take a step back and you look at the overall resume of St. John's, it's understandable why they didn't get in. I think teams should be rewarded for how they played down the stretch, maybe a little more than they are in this tournament. I think the whole overall body of work thing, I don't love it.
Yeah.
In terms of the way they look at it, like they do not care about conference tournaments very much. I think that's clear.
So do you think if St. John's beats UConn, they get in though? Even though they don't care?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's closer than people think.
Yeah.
I think they might not, honestly. Mm-hmm. I mean, but here's the problem. Like
they weren't even one of the first 4 out.
They weren't. Yeah, and they're 32nd in the net. Like how do you not put them somewhere near? Like how are they not one of the first 4 teams out if the net matters as much as it's supposed to? Which this is the committee's metric. This is their thing, and St. John's isn't even close. St. John's has a quad 3 loss, which was Michigan. That was the 2nd game of the season. So I don't know how much weight you can really put on that. But the quality of wins, I mean, I think that's where Seton Hall's argument comes into play and makes sense. Because Seton Hall has a UConn win. They have a Marquette win. They have a win over – who's the other team I was looking at? I missed it. I don't know. It went away. They beat Wagner. Wagner's in the tournament. How about that? No. But, Seton Hall I think should be a little upset. I don't think Providence should be that upset. Providence – no. Providence has a Creighton win and a Marquette win. Both of those are at home. They did beat Creighton twice. They beat Creighton in the tournament, which, like we said, doesn't matter. And they have a Wisconsin win. But I don't think Providence, from a metric standpoint, and I know Kim English said analytics are bullshit, which fine, whatever, have your opinion. But they weren't close in that department. I mean, Ken Palm's got them 54th. The committee obviously viewed Seton Hall as superior to them. So I don't think that could be much of a surprise to people.
Yeah.
I think the Big East should be most upset about Virginia getting in over anything. Let me see here. So the last 4 in were Virginia, Colorado State, and Boise State. And the first 4 out were Oklahoma, Seton Hall, Indiana State, Pitt. So Oklahoma closer than I would have expected. Even though it is surprising that Oklahoma, who was ranked, I think, 9th at some point in December in the country, misses the tournament entirely. I think that's where you have that bad of a record against Quad 1, they're going to hold it against you. I mean, St. John's was 4-10 against Quad 1. Oklahoma was 4-12. So they're going to hold that against you. So apparently they'll weigh, hey, Oklahoma doesn't have any bad losses. Every single one of Oklahoma's losses, I believe, was a Quad 1 loss. Unless they have more than 12 losses, but I thought they only had 12. Yeah, they're 20-12. So, whatever. I guess quality of wins comes into play there. I don't know. They need to tell us, Like they don't really give any good answers. They don't tell us much, and they should be more transparent with the process. They need better people in this committee. It's the bottom line. It's all athletic directors, administrators. No, you need to add some different viewpoints to the mix, and maybe that'll happen one day. I mean, we got, diversity in everything now, but we can't get it with our college committee. That's because the NCAA runs it, and the NCAA sucks. But that's neither here nor there. So we get the joy of the entire country is going to be rooting for the Colorado State Buffaloes. Are they the Buffaloes? No, that's Colorado. What an idiot. It's a Rams. The entire country is going to be rooting for the Colorado State Rams to beat Virginia. I think that's a guarantee. And also, I don't think the Big East Big East fans seem to have a gripe with Mountain West getting as many bids. Mountain West was incredibly disrespected, in my opinion, when it comes to seeding. And I'll get into that one second. I think they should be mad at Dayton and the chaos of the A-10 tournament. That's a bid steal with Duquesne.
Yeah.
Duquesne. The American FAU gutless loses to UAB. That's a bid steal. ACC North Carolina gutless loses to NC State. And then Oregon steals a bid. That's 4. My problem is how on earth does somebody in this committee have the gall, I don't even know how to spell that word, but it's definitely a word, to say New Mexico is a bid stealer? New Mexico won 26 games. They're 41st in offensive efficiency, 23rd in defensive efficiency. They're 23rd on KenPom. I know it's a predictive metric, but they're 23rd, one of the better teams in the Mountain West. I know the record wasn't great. They had a pretty bad stretch, but their losses, they lost to Colorado State. That's a tournament team. They lost on the road to UNLV. That's tough. They lost to Boise State. That's a tournament team. Lost to UNLV. Again, must have been a bad matchup. They lost to San Diego State on the road. The Air Force loss is bad. That's probably why they're viewed as that. But then they lost to Boise State on the road and Utah State on the road. Then they won the conference tournament. I can't believe the committee wouldn't have had them in if they didn't win that tournament. That's insane to me. And I think that's a problem. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You think I'm wrong? Probably not. I'm probably right.
You're probably right.
And like New Mexico's, can you imagine them leaving? I know it's a predictive metric, but can you imagine them leaving a top 25 team in KenPom who would, if they lost, it would have been a conference championship loss to San Diego State, and they just leave them out? That would have been outrageous.
Yeah, but I can see it.
And Boise State also having to be a play-in team, going 13-5 in that conference, and then Utah State winning the conference, getting an 8 seed. Like, that's outrageous to me. Like, how do you sit there and say, okay, this conference is great. I think the committee probably thinks the Mountain West is a good conference, but the school that won the conference gets an 8 seed. That's tough for a league that got 6 bids for their top team in the regular season to be an 8 seed is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like the seeding was the worst part of this bracket, and that's where I have a problem with a lot of what they did. Whether it's what they did to Iowa State or FAU being an 8 seed is just outrageous. Like, I don't understand that at all. FAU's one win was over Arizona, and it was overtime, and it was neutral. They lost to Illinois by 9 on a neutral floor. That's fine. They got killed by 2 guys, and Illinois is probably the best scoring neutral court team in the country this year. If you look at all the numbers, they've put up 90 plus, like 4 times on a neutral court, 2 times, at least 3, because the semis and the championship and then the FAU game. But yeah, FAU not being anywhere near the bubble is outrageous to me. I think there's some interesting seeding. I think Michigan State's probably should have been a 10. I'm trying to find other spots where I can complain. Texas is a 7. Doesn't feel that right to me, but whatever.
It should be higher.
I would have made him an 8-9.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, how about the laziness of the committee? It seems like the committee just plugged the bid stealers, quote unquote, in their eyes, into the 11 seeds. Like Duquesne's an 11, Oregon's an 11, NC State's an 11, and New Mexico's an 11.
Yeah, that's.
I think Duquesne's at 11 because BYU could something to do with BYU not being able to play on Sunday is why they're a 6 or something. Whatever, something happened there with BYU. They had to be Thursday, Saturday. So
yeah, that's apparently they can't play on Sundays. So
weirdos.
Illinois gets screwed again. Whatever.
Yeah, the committee just them claiming that they don't put a big emphasis on bad losses and then let Virginia get in because of that, and then FAU has 2 bad losses against an 8 seed. I don't know. It's stupid. Like FAU lost to Bryant. Come on, Bryant. That's outrageous. Bryant, who's in the 32nd ranked conference in the predictive metrics, and Bryant, who okay, they're not in that conference anymore. Damn it. I had a narrative to shovel home there. They're not in the northwest or northeast anymore. What the fuck conference are they in? Bryant in the they're in the America East, so the 21st ranked conference. They won 11-5, 269th ranked offense in the country. High tempo team, lost to Rutgers by 9, lost to Manhattan, who's 357th in the country in predictive metrics. They lost to BU, who's 295th by 16. They lost to Stony Brook, who made a nice run at the end of the season by 11. They lost to Maine, who's 232nd in the predictive metrics. Bryant sucks, and the fact that FAU lost to them and doesn't get punished at all is absolutely outrageous. How does FAU score 52 points? I know Bryant's much better defensively than they are offensively, but 52 points. Let's look at other high major opponents scoring against Bryant. You ready? Xavier missed the tournament, scored 100 against him. Cincinnati missed the tournament, scored 85 against him. Ole Miss missed the tournament, scored 95 against them. And I'm not saying any of those teams should have been in the tournament because they shouldn't have. But my God. And also Rutgers scored 66 against them. That's 14 more. And Rutgers had the 298th offense in the country this year. I have the biggest anti-FAU narrative in the country right now. I hate the fact that they got in as an 8 seed. Absolutely outrageous.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
does the net matter at all? Like, how much does the net matter? If the committee's going to sit there and, plug away with it, then they should have it matter more than it does, I think.
That's true. You would think.
I think there's a lack of context. I think they need to look more into the context. Like, they don't have any quad 3s or quad 4s. Wow, that's great. Why don't you look at some of the quad 2s? Like, not every quad 2 loss is great. Yeah. What's this comment?
Illinois would have gotten Gonzaga per committee. I'll take the draw, but save that for the next IVP.
I don't want to do any draw talk on that show, but I guess we will.
Okay.
The 1 seed debate is the final thing I have here before we get into a few other things and then fill out a bracket.
Okay.
The 1 seed debate is interesting. I think the most outrageous thing is not that Iowa State wasn't a 1 seed. I think it's that they were the number 8 overall seed, which to me is like, what are you guys looking at? Like, this is a team that went 10-6 in quad 1, 6-1 in quad 2, 11-0 between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they have one more win in quad 1 than North Carolina. They have one less quad 2 win, but 3 fewer. So North Carolina had 4 quad 2 losses. That to me says the committee truly just plugged everything in and then didn't change much other than changing some of the bubble stuff just because of the bid stealers.
Yeah. To say that they were working at this till 2 a.m. doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
Yeah, nobody should feel bad for these guys. They're all rich douchebags. Yeah, I mean, they're 6th in the net, too. It's like, I mean, I think the worst part of it is that it seems like the committee cares about certain conference championships, but then others, it's just like, who cares? Like, I don't think that there should be that much. I don't think people should look too much into them beating Houston the way they did. I know it was a very impressive win and beat Houston in a way that nobody has in a long time. But other than that, it's like, man, how much does this stuff matter in certain, like, I don't know. It's every year, but it's crazy that Iowa State was the 8th overall seed. Let's see. Ranking the regions based on difficulty. I think everybody knows that the number 1 toughest region is the East region. Right?
I would say so. That's why, I mean, as an Illinois fan, I hate it. If I was a UConn fan, I would be real pissed. Like, how are you the number one overall and you got the toughest bracket out of everybody?
Let's look at some
Look at
things
this
here.
board.
Nobody can see it, but I'm going to point it out. I need a pointer. UConn is 21-1 since December 23rd. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Try not to get any dry erase on my white shirt. Six top 25 KenPom teams in this region, 4 adjusted offensive efficiency teams in the top 11. So that is UConn is first in offense. Auburn is 10th. Illinois is third. What was I said 4? Who's the fourth? Hang on. BYU, sorry. We got Nellie Davis against Boo Buie in the first round. Great guard matchup. It's Duquesne's first appearance since 1977, and Keith Dambrot, the head coach there, is retiring when they're done. 3 Final Four teams in this region from last year. You got FAU, San Diego State, and UConn, and the top 4 seeds, UConn, Auburn, Illinois, Iowa State, are all conference tournament winners. So that's the fact sheet. That's the best one. My other 3 regions, it's terrible stats that I have for the other regions. That was the best I did with the
only one he cared
region.
about, or what?
I don't know. That is the first one. I'm gonna hold it this way, I think. Okay, the second hardest to me is the South. I think some people might think it's a little easier than it is because of the Houston factor. I think Houston does have a solid path, though. Wisconsin has found something. I think the way they've been playing, I think they could. I think a lot of people are going to say James Madison. I think I still like Wisconsin. How do the Nebraska, Texas A&M guards match up? I think a lot of people are going to talk about Tominaga from the Nebraska side, but guess what? I think Bryce Williams is going to be the most important player for Nebraska in that game. Him and Juwan Gary. You get the length in the perimeter. Juwan Gary's a really good defender. You have Radford, Wade Taylor on the other side for Texas A&M. Very interesting matchup there. Duke and Kentucky, the only team shooting above 37% from 3 in this region. So that changes a little bit when you go down to the Midwest region. You see some of the three-point shooting teams there. And then Greg Camp, NCAA Tournament at Oakland. It's his 40th season at Oakland. They're playing Kentucky in the first round. All right, next up, I think the West. I think some would say that the West is the easiest region. I have it as the third region out of the 4. I think there's probably a complete toss-up between the West and Midwest for me. You got UNC Arizona storyline, Caleb Love. That's the big thing there. I think Tyon Grant Foster from Grand Canyon might be the best player in the region. You got to watch him play. Just a different level athletically. It's similar to Terrence Shannon in that regard, except he's even bigger. 3 top 10 adjusted offenses, 2 adjusted defenses in the top 10. That's North Carolina and Michigan State in this region. And then there's guards on every single team in this region. Basically has a really good guard leading the way. And then Dan Munson's story at Long Beach State. Obviously, he was fired at the beginning of the week, and now he's in the tournament. So I'm going to switch it this way for the last one. Having trouble here holding it up properly. Nobody can even see what it says, but it looks cooler this way. Midwest, Purdue revenge tour. Big spot for Purdue, a lot of pressure. How do they respond? Mountain West regular season champion is an 8 seed. Utah State, I mentioned that. So an interesting matchup there. I'd love to see Darius Brown against the Purdue guards in the second round. The country will be rooting for Colorado State. I already used that talking point earlier. Nobody wants Virginia to win that playing game. And then I think these 2, 12 and 13 seeds are the strongest combined in a region. You have McNeese is 7th in three-point percentage. They're 51st in adjusted offense. They won 30 games with 30-3. Samford plays Bucky ball. Bucky McMillan, the head coach. They're undersized, but they can absolutely go, and they play super hard. They're 14th in adjusted tempo, 8th in three-point percentage, and they're 16th in the country in forcing turnovers in the defensive end percentage. They press the hell out of teams. I think it's going to throw Kansas for a ride, even though Kansas is a team that has good guard play, especially with DeJuan Harris at the top. But they also went 29-5. So the strongest 12-13 combo, I think, is in that region. So I'd be pretty surprised if Gonzaga and Kansas both win their first games. Now you go. Do you agree with East, South, West, Midwest?
Yes, I do.
Sellout.
What?
That was your spot to be like, I think the Midwest is easier than the West.
I think it's not. Oh.
You charge my phone. Hang on. My voice is getting a little raspy already. That's not good. All right. Top coaching matchups. One per region is what I have here. I think the most intriguing in terms of you look at the profile of the coach, the way they are on the sidelines can be a factor here. Success in the past of the tournament. In the 8-9s are a lot of the easier ones here, but I only picked 2 8-9s. So Dusty May and Chris Collins going head to head in the first round. FAU Northwestern. Chris Collins has, I believe, 2 tournament wins at Northwestern. They've made the tournament, I believe, 3 times. They made it last year, 1 in the first round. Good job there. I forgot to do that. Dusty May made it to the Final Four last year, and very well. I wouldn't be that surprised if Dusty May gets the Michigan job after this. We'll see.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see. John Calipari and Greg Camp in the South region. A lot of pressure on Calipari this season to make a run, get back in the mix. His team's as talented as he's had in the last 5 years since they last made a run. And then obviously Greg Camp, 40th season at Oakland. Been there a long time. So that's a long time. Danny Sprinkle, Jamie Dixon, 8-9. Wouldn't be surprised if Sprinkle goes up a level after 1 year at Utah State, but we'll see. Maybe he sticks around. And then Jamie Dixon can throw a lot of different things at you. TCU this year, I thought they were going to be a little bit better than they ended up being. They went 9-9 in conference play. They lost by 15 to Houston in the second game of the Big 12 tournament. But they can shoot it 35.6% from 3, and they get up and down a little bit. Utah State pretty much does the same thing, except they're not as effective from 3. They're more of a team that scores at a higher percentage inside the perimeter. 46 in the country and 2-point distribution is Utah State. And then Nate Oates, Pat Kelsey in the West region. Interesting matchup there. 2 Hardo coaches, it seems. So just the way they look, I guess, would be my interpretation. Brad Underwood and Spradlin. Big matchup there, right?
Spradlin, yeah.
Preston Spradlin. His 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th season at Morehead State. So Underwood's been in Illinois for 7. He's been at Morehead State for 8. Big stat there. Few storylines here. Purdue, the pressure. How do they respond? The last time a 1 seed needed to respond, they won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Purdue on the way there in the Elite 8, by the way. That'll be interesting. If there's any chance Purdue doesn't get to the Elite 8. There's always a chance. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, but they got a pretty good road to do it, I would say.
Especially if Gonzaga and Kansas struggle in that first round.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, we've already gone over them. I think the guard play is at an insanely high level this year. There's so many guards, not even point guards, just the guards in general. There's so many good ones all the way throughout the country. 12, 13, 14 seeds. I think if I look at each line, most intriguing on each line, I think the most intriguing 12 seed is obviously Grand Canyon. I think the most intriguing 13 seed is Samford. And I think the most intriguing 14 seed is definitely not Colgate because that team blows. I would probably say it's Morehead State just because of Minix and what he can do, averaging 20 and 10 as a 6'7" guard. Be a very interesting matchup there, how Illinois tries to guard him. But if anybody has the length and athleticism to shut him down or make things difficult on him, it is Illinois. So we'll see. Especially you see how Illinois defends a team that just slow plays and doesn't play much tempo at all. That'll be interesting to see, especially when they take a lot of threes. Do you think there's a 2 seed that will lose in the first weekend?
Yeah.
I think there is too. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, here we go. So I don't have the schedule on me. I probably should have done that. Hold on. Everybody take a step back.
Michigan State, Mississippi State, first game, I think.
Well, I was going to talk about the first four.
Oh, who cares?
I think there's some intrigue with a couple of these matchups. I mean, geez. So the first game on Tuesday is Wagner and Howard.
Who cares?
Which is, I mean, clearly you're not a college basketball guy. That's fine. Wagner and Howard winner will play North Carolina, right? Yeah. Trying to figure out which region we're talking about here. So, North Carolina, good luck. You got a tough opponent coming. You know,
Tell me about Howard and Wagner. I need to know.
I'm pulling up the stuff.
One of them can beat North Carolina.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen
right now.
All right. So that game is at 5:40 on True TV. See John Rothstein sideline reporting. Best in the business, no doubt about it. These are two of the worst teams that got bids. Actually, I believe the two worst in terms of the metrics, predictive metrics. So if you are looking for teams that stylistically fit each other, this is not it. Because on one end, Wagner is offensively challenged. Howard is defensively challenged. On the other end, Howard's offense is more of their strength and Wagner's defense is more of their strength. So I don't think you're going to see an 80 to 75 gamer. I think it's going to be like a 65-60 game, maybe. Wagner is terrible from inside the perimeter. They're terrible from outside the perimeter. They barely shoot above 30%. They shoot 42% from inside the perimeter, which is pretty bad. They're not great from the free throw line. And here's why I like Howard. I think three-pointers matter. I think you need to shoot them. And Howard is maybe the best bad team when it comes to shooting threes because they're 37.5%. That's 19th in the country. That's about as good as it gets for a team that's playing in a 16-seed play-in game. They turn the ball over a lot. And the bad thing for them, I guess, is that Wagner is competent when it comes to forcing turnovers. But I like Howard in this game. Give me Howard. I'm gonna write down something.
Wagner.
Here.
Thanks. Bootzilla says, fun fact, a team from the first four has made it to at least the Sweet 16 with the exception of last year.
Yep.
Good stuff.
All right, next up is Virginia, Colorado State. That is the late Tuesday game. Like I said, Colorado State is going to be cheered on by the country. And I wonder with Virginia, how are they going to find offense? Because they haven't done it all year, like at all.
Yeah.
Like they have so many games of scoring fewer than 50 points. And Colorado State's pretty good defensively.
The other team to 40, though. It doesn't matter.
I mean, fair enough, but Colorado State lowest scoring game this year was 58, I believe, against Boise State. And I don't think if they score 58, they'll probably win by 10 against Virginia. They're really good inside the perimeter offensively, which is somewhat of a strength for Virginia. Defensively, that is, because Virginia's 310th in the country from two. So that'll hurt. But one thing Virginia has going for them, and who knows, the way they win this game is by making threes, 36.3%. That's the only reason this tournament is because they've been able to shoot threes. So you have the 194th ranked offense against the 38th ranked defense and the 42nd ranked offense against the 7th ranked defense. Everything about this game is telling me that Colorado State's going to win because I just hate Virginia the way they play. So give me the Rams. I think they get it done. I think Isaiah Stevens has a run in them.
Yep, sounds good. Hinkle says if we're spending 3 minutes on Wagner and Howard in this pod, we might not be done till tip-off tomorrow.
Deal with it.
Hey, usually this episode is like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, we're on a good pace right now. We're going to be way
We're actually moving.
Yeah, we're in the last segment. All right, let's do Grambling in Montana State.
Yeah.
16 seed play-in from the Midwest region. Let me find my report here. Hold on. All right, let's start with Montana State. They went 17-17. This is a team that started the year 6-9. They were 1-1 to start conference play. They went 9-9 in their conference. They beat Montana by 15 in the championship game. They get it done. I believe this is their second NCAA tournament appearance in 3 years or 4 years. I remember they played Texas Tech. They were a 14 seed. That was when Terrence Shannon was still at Texas Tech. So would have been 2022. They were 14 seed. They went 27-7 that year. So this is not the same Montana State team from a couple years ago, mainly because, number one, they have a new coach because Danny Sprinkle was there when they did that. And then this is Matt Logie's first season there. Not a great team on paper. Offensively, not great. Struggle to rebound. That's a big factor. I think rebounding, they're 356 in offensive rebound percentage, while Grambling does allow quite a few offensive rebounds. So a bit of a contrast there. See how that goes. I do think the stronger team between the two, when you look at some results, is probably Montana State, but the record wouldn't tell you that. The thing about Grambling is that they started the year 2-10. So wow, that's a bit of an interesting one. They started the year 2-10, went 14-4 in the conference, beat Texas Southern by 9, who is usually always the 16th seed out of the SWAC, is Texas Southern, but it didn't happen this year. And you also factor in the fact that Grambling lost to Iowa State 92-37, which seems about right. I think Montana State wins this game. Give me Montana State, easy money, lock it in. I don't even know what the spread is. I'm sure Montana State's a favorite by like a couple points.
Sure they are. I'll find it for you.
All right, Boise State, Colorado. You could contribute here, talk about some of the teams, you know?
Yeah, I know a lot about Montana State and Grambling.
Good enough. What region is Boise State, Colorado? All right. South. I got to pull out a full new binder for this.
Hold on. When's that game? Wednesday? Montana State's a 3.5-point favorite.
Seems about right. Why don't you just be the spread guy?
Yeah, okay.
Say the spread that you see whenever I bring it up. All right, Colorado, Boise State, Wednesday night, last game before the round of 64 begins.
Colorado, 2.5-point favorite.
All right, we'll start with them. 25th in offense, loaded with talent. You look at the roster, you got KJ Simpson, you got Cody Williams, who's going to be a lottery pick. You got De Silva, who's been around the block. You got Lampkin, who had a decent run at TCU in the tournament. You got a Colorado team that shoots at 39.4% from three. They make their free throws. They're good enough on the interior to score points. You got a Boise State team that probably, based on the resume and some of the things they did this season, shouldn't be in a playing game. It's tough that they are. You look at the fact that Colorado won 6 straight going into the Pac-12 tournament, then won 2 more, and then lost to Oregon by 7, a hot Oregon team, though. Boise State in the non-conference this year, probably the reason they're here is they lost to Butler, Virginia Tech, Clemson, and Washington State. They won 6 of 7 before losing to New Mexico in the Mountain West Conference tournament. I think the big matchup here is how can Boise State put up with the skill and the length that Colorado has, because Colorado's most frequent lineup in the last 5 games has featured 6'2", 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", 6'11". And that's not including Cody Williams, who's a 6'8" freshman who shoots at 42% from 3 and 60% from 2. I think Boise State's going to have a lot of trouble there. So I think Colorado wins this game. And I think they probably win it by double digits.
Really?
Tough start for the Mountain West if this is the case. Although Colorado State winning would be good. But there's I don't know if it's a good chance, but there's definitely a chance that you see the Mountain West start 0-2. Don't trust the Mountain West. All right, let's do the next huge matchup here. I'm just going to go in order of the games now on the bracket. So let's start UConn, Stetson. Huge matchup here. Any chance that Stetson wins this game?
No.
Any chance that Stetson loses by less than 40?
Maybe.
Well, we all know everything about UConn, so let's talk about Stetson
If
first.
UConn, just kind of eases into it the second half of the second half,
That's fair.
Maybe. By the way, UConn 26.5-point favorite.
Okay, I would take that. By the way, so Stetson 22-12 out of the Atlantic Sun Conference. They won their conference tournament. They beat Austin P by 3. They could score it. I mean, this is maybe one of the better scoring 16 seeds you're going to see. I mean, they're 100th in efficiency. That's pretty good for a 16 seed. Problem is they're 342nd defensively. So that's where UConn's probably going to score 115 points. I would take the over in this game, by the way.
Okay.
UConn's probably going to account for 70% of the over, but either way, I would take the over. So Stetson has experience playing a 1 seed. They played Houston this year. They lost 79-48, so that's not too bad. That's another thing. Everyone's like, oh, Houston, they don't play anybody. I know the Big 12 did some things, but Houston only give 48 points to an offense that can score. And I know they're playing bad teams all year, but they can still score. I mean, they scored 75 against Cincinnati. They have Jalen Blackman, who shoots at 37% from deep. They got Trayton Thompson, who shoots at 35% from deep. So either way, why would I waste my time talking more here about UConn? Because UConn's going to win. UConn by 30 at least, I would say. I just don't think anybody's going to be able to match with UConn until like the Elite Eight. I mean, maybe the Sweet 16 if Auburn gets there, but outside of that, it's like, yeah, UConn's looked like a juggernaut for the last year. So
yeah, I agree.
Next up, Florida Atlantic and Northwestern spread.
FAU is a 2.5-point favorite.
What are your thoughts on this game?
I think that Boo Booey's gonna go crazy. It is his 12th year in the league. Maybe his last year. I don't know. Who knows? He might come back. Give me Boo Booey scoring 30 this game.
They're going to need it because you have the Ty Berry injury. He's gone. Matthew Nicholson's been hurt as well. These are two good offenses. I mean, FAU 16th in the country, Northwestern 30th. Northwestern better defensively, but I do wonder the matchup here from a guard perspective, with Davis and they also have Elijah Martin and they have Greenlee and they have Weatherspoon. Like, outside of Golden, they're pretty undersized, so I'll be curious to see if Northwestern can exploit anything there. I think it's going to be a little harder than it might have been if Berry and Nicholson are there. I don't know what the status of Nicholson is, but he's missed the last 3 games. So, they're going to need Boo Boo to have a lot of points. I mean, Northwestern shoots it really well from 3, so if they get going from 3, they can beat teams, but it's all about that interior. I mean, that's where I think Vlad Golden could easily have like 25 points in this game. FAU 17th inside the perimeter, and Northwestern's 177th in guarding it. So, man, I think FAU's better. It's tough for Northwestern, even with Berry. Give me FAU. I know I have an anti-FAU narrative, but I just think they're better if you look at the matchup.
Okay.
Gotta do what you gotta do, I'm also gonna click my bracket over here.
I got Northwestern winning this game, by the way. If anybody cares.
Yeah, we're a team here. San Diego State UAB.
San Diego State is a 6.5-point favorite currently.
Man, that seems low, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is where the no bad losses thing comes into play. It's like, man, is this team really a 5 seed?
Do you think San Diego State is a 5 seed?
It's the no bad losses. They BYU, Grand Canyon, New Mexico, Boise State, Colorado State, Nevada, Utah State, UNLV, Boise State, New Mexico are their losses. And their wins are St. Mary's and Gonzaga, which is enormous. That's probably why they're a 5 seed. But I don't really. I think they're an extremely fringe 5 seed, in my opinion. This is an interesting matchup. I think you look at the makeup of San Diego State defensively early in the season. It did not look good. They were giving up a lot of points. They gave up 97 to Washington and they gave up 74 to BYU, which isn't extreme, but still 76 to Long Beach State. Like, these are the types of teams where San Diego State's usually giving up 50 and 60 points, but either way, they figured it out. They lost the Mountain West tournament by 7 to New Mexico, who's playing well. You got Lamont Butler back. You got Jaden Ledee back, who's been one of the best players in the country. You got a lot of guys in this team that can defend, a lot of guys that can make things happen. I mean, you have 3 pretty big pieces from last year's team back with Trammell and Butler and Ledee. So that's a big factor here. In terms of UAB stole a bid. They beat FAU in the American Championship. UAB back in the tournament once again. This is the second time in 3 years. They made it in 2022. I believe lost to Houston. This UAB team is nowhere near as good as the last 2. Jelly Walker's gone. He's not walking through that door. However, they do have Eric Gaines, who's a super athlete and has kind of taken his game up a notch a bit. Shot 5 for 11 from 3 in the semifinals and championship of that tournament. They beat Temple, by the way. I don't know why I said FAU. They beat Temple. I forgot FAU is so gutless that they lost to Temple. Jesus, that's embarrassing. I just don't think this UAB has the horse. This UAB team, they don't have the horses to keep up. So I don't think San Diego State's a great 5 seed, but I think they win this game.
Yeah, I had UAB winning this, but you've changed my mind. San Diego State.
There's one. Mark it down. One mind change so far. All right, let's do Auburn and Yale next up. Can you say the time and day of the game too? Because I forgot to do that.
Oh yeah, sure, I can do that. Friday at 3:15 Central Time on TNT. Auburn is a 12.5 point favorite.
That's more like it for a 4-13 matchup. Auburn is like the darling of predictive metrics this season because they're 4th in the country on Ken Palm. Like the Ken Palms love them,
Yeah,
they love them. And then Yale obviously barely beating Brown in the Ivy League championship, a buzzer beater. That would have been a brutal. I mean, Brown might have been a 15 seed, maybe even who knows? But Yale gets it done. Luckily, I mean, if you're Auburn, you're like, hey, what if we would have played Princeton? But Princeton,
would
I guess
Princeton
they're a 13
been better
seed.
than a 13 or not? You think that's just a plug-in?
I think given the
what were they last year? Were they a 13?
15.
15. Holy cow! Wow.
They would have been a 13, I think, but they would have been a high end 13 because of their offense.
Yeah.
But obviously they lost, and that's the beauty of March, I guess. I think Yale. You look at Yale in the non-conference; they lost to Gonzaga by 15. They lost to Vermont. They lost to Fairfield. They lost to Kansas by 15. Remember, Yale was up at the half at Allen Fieldhouse. That was Friday, December 22nd.
But I believe you.
Well, I was talking. We did a bragging rights watch party that night. And I remember saying Kansas losing at the half to Yale.
Okay.
Nobody remembers anything, I guess.
Well, I don't. I need more water. You just keep yapping.
They have two wins over non-Division I schools, Yale that is. 22-9, beat Brown by 1, beat Cornell by 12 in their 2 conference tournament games. Notable, they have this Greek kid that shoots at 38% from 3. They're pretty small. I mean, in terms of average height, they're 36th, but they have a 7-footer. They're not that small, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. What am I looking at? Auburn. I just think Auburn's better. I think that's what it comes down to. I do think one of these teams that won a conference tournament's probably gonna lose early. I don't think Auburn's going to be one of those teams. I think they're just way better than Yale. If they get going from 3, they're not that great from 3, but they'll shoot them. I think Janai Broom's the best player on the floor by a mile. He's just been so phenomenal this season. I think Auburn gets it done pretty easily. I think they'll cover the spread too.
Yep, I agree with you.
All right, this is where things can get a little interesting. BYU and Duquesne.
Yeah. This is Thursday, True TV, 11:40 a.m. tip Central Time.
Second game of the tournament, pretty much.
Yes.
So Yale, here's the thing with Yale, or not Yale, BYU.
Yale.
Here's the thing with BYU.
Yes.
Their metrics are.
And did I give a spread? Hold on. BYU's a 9.5 point favorite. Sorry.
I think their metrics are inflated a bit due to the 327th non-conference strength of schedule. And the way that was scheduled, if you beat up those teams and you win all your non-conference games, they went 12-1 in non-conference. Their one loss was Utah, the road game. They lost by 4. I don't think BYU is as good as the predictive metrics say they are.
Okay.
I think it's a big factor. And I also think Duquesne is not of the quality of an 11 seed. Put it this way. Yale, who is the 13 seed in this bracket, in the predictive metrics, Yale is 2 spots better than Duquesne. So it's a great story.
Just a plug and play right here by the committee then.
Yeah, they beat Dayton by 8. They beat VCU by 6. They play really hard defensively. They're 28th in the country. I think this game is going to be close. I think they're going to play for Dan Brott, who's retiring after this game. I think there's a chance that the Dukes win, and I want to pick them to win so bad, but I think BYU gets it done.
Yeah, going with BYU.
All right, Illinois, Morehead State.
Thursday game, True TV, 2:10 p.m. Central Time. Illinois is currently a 12.5 point favorite, started at 13.5.
So Morehead State,
89% of the bets are on Morehead State right now, is what my brother sent me.
Good. Morehead State is 26-8. They beat Little Rock by 14 in the conference tournament championship. They played a tough non-conference. They lost to Purdue by 30. They lost to Alabama by 32. They lost to Penn State by 23. They lost to Indiana by 1 in December. I think this is an interesting matchup, but I think if you're an Illinois fan, you should be okay with the draw. They got guys that can shoot it. They're going to shoot threes. Illinois is going to have to guard those threes. That's something that Illinois has done.
Yeah.
That's like their identity, is being able to at least try to defend the three. The numbers aren't great in doing it, but they'll take away the three. They did it against Indiana. So I don't want to give too much away since we have the other podcast, but I think Illinois wins this game.
Same.
All chalk so far.
You talked me off my UAB upset.
Good. That's how it should be. Next up is Washington State and Drake.
Thursday game, 9:05 p.m. Central on True TV. Washington State opened as a 1.5 point favorite. They are currently a 1.5 point dog.
That might scare me away a little bit. I really, really like this Drake team. Like offensively, they're phenomenal. I think they'll probably have the best player on the floor with Tucker DeVries. I think that's going to be a big factor here. They're 38th in offensive efficiency. Washington State's a much better defensive team than offensive team. It'll be a battle there. You have the fact that Drake does not rebound will be interesting. Here's the thing about Drake. They're 24.1% offensive rebound percentage at the offensive end, but they're also 22.1% of the defensive end, which is first in the country. So they're going to keep you off the glass. And Washington State's going to want to rebound. We'll see. These are two pretty prolific rebounding teams in terms of what they want to do. Washington State wants to rebound and then doesn't want to give up offensive rebounds. Drake doesn't get offensive rebounds, but they don't give up offensive rebounds. So that'll be a factor. You have a team in Drake that shoots 36.5% from three. Like I said, DeVries probably the best player on the floor. In that Indiana State title game, he had 27 points on 11 of 19 shooting. He had 29 against Bradley to end the regular season. He's just an efficient player, shoots at 36% from three, almost 83% the line. Third season there, coach's son, the whole thing. I just think Drake is better. And Washington State's a great story. Their first tournament appearance since Tony Bennett was there in 2007, I believe. But I think Drake is better, and I'm going to take Drake.
I got Washington State winning this game. So,
Mistake.
I mean, I actually have Washington State winning 2 games. So, when you asked about that 2 seed, it was Iowa State.
Of course it was. All right. Iowa State, South Dakota State.
Thursday game, True TV, 6:35 p.m. Central. Iowa State is a 16.5-point favorite.
South Dakota State went 22-12. They beat Denver by 8 in the Summit League Championship. Eric Henderson, the head coach. The Jackrabbits, of course. They can score. They can go a little bit offensively. I mean, they're not bad. I think that the strength of Iowa State's defense will probably fend that off a little bit. This is an Iowa State team that gave up 41, 62, and 57 in their 3 Big 12 tournament games. If you look at a team with a similar predictive metric ranking that they've played this year, Iowa State that is, the closest would probably be out of conference at least. I guess it's I haven't played anybody very close. Green Bay, I guess, would be the closest in terms of predictive metric. Green Bay is significantly worse than South Dakota State, but it is notable. You know, they beat Green Bay by 41. So South Dakota State, they're going to need to make shots. I mean, Iowa State's going to kill teams defensively. They force a ton of turnovers. They're second in the country in turnover percentage on the defensive end. They defend the 3 well. Team shooting 31.5% against them. Iowa State's just much, much better here. I don't see them losing this game. I also didn't see Princeton beating Arizona last year, to be fair. I don't think many did, but I'm going to take Iowa State.
Yeah, I also got Iowa State winning. A 15 seed has won a first-round game the past 3 seasons.
St. Peter's, Princeton, and
wait for it.
Might be a little bit. It's never going to get there. I don't know. Had to be the 2022 tournament, right? No, 2021 tournament. Oh, okay. Hang on.
Hold on. Hang on. He's got it.
Oh, it was Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts.
Yeah, beat Ohio State. Okay. I had it mixed up. I thought for some reason I thought St. Peter's was 2021, but it was definitely 2022. So I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think the streaks are meant to be broken, right?
Yeah.
I would love to see St. Peter's beating Tennessee in the first round. Would be hilarious. But either way, let's just go down to the West now.
Okay.
already talked about Howard and Wagner. So I have North Carolina Howard. You have North Carolina Wagner.
Obviously, yeah.
When's this game supposed to be?
It is Thursday at sometime. Hold on. You really threw me off. Thursday at 1:45 p.m. on CBS. Spread TBD.
Yeah, it's going to be a high number. I'm going to go out on a limb and say North Carolina is going to win this game.
Yep, sounds good. Next.
Mississippi State, Michigan State.
First game of the tournament. 11:15 a.m. Thursday, CBS. Be there for all the action. This opened as Michigan State a 2.5-point favorite. It's now down to 1.5.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think people might be afraid to pick against Tom Izzo in the first round, but I think Mississippi State's got a really good chance here. Mississippi State, defensively, they're not as good as they were last year. There's no doubting that. But guess what? They're far better offensively this year. They've adapted a little bit in that way. They're not great from 3, but they can score on the inside. They're not a great free throw shooting team. That's fine. They guard the 3 really well, which is where Michigan State could have some issues. They're 6th in the country in 3-point percentage against at 29.4%. I think that's going to be a big factor here. And you know what else they have? They have a guy on the inside that can get buckets, and that's Tolu Smith.
That is a problem for Michigan State.
I think this is an awesome, awesome matchup stylistically for Mississippi State. I think they win.
Yeah, you're making me switch.
That's
Give me
2.
Mississippi State.
That's 2. Swing, miss with your Michigan State pick. Michigan State's a fraud. It would be rightful if they lost in the first round.
Yeah, yeah. You got me there.
All right. Really
Friday.
intriguing 5-12 matchup here. St. Mary's at the 5 seed. Grand Canyon is the 12.
Last game of the night on Friday, I think. True TV, Friday, 9:05 p.m. St. Mary's is a 5.5-point favorite.
Let's start with St. Mary's, a team that I was very high on going into the season. Not a great start for them, but they figured it out. They ended up winning the West Coast Conference Tournament.
Speaking of that, 13 conference champions I got right. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, St. Mary's started 3-5 this season, by the way. Losses to Weber State, San Diego State, Xavier, Boise State, and Utah. But they figured it out. Since the 3-5 start, they're 23-2. So about as good as UConn record-wise, just different matchups. They're good. They can defend. They guard the paint really well, which is, where Grand Canyon gets 48.4% of their points. I think Grand Canyon's got the best player on the floor in almost any matchup they play. Tyon Grant Foster is phenomenal, and they're just really fun to watch. Like the way that they play, they can shoot it. They can get to the free throw line. I mean, they're 5th in the country in free throw percentage, point distribution. That's kind of where Tyon Grant Foster comes into play. 252 free throw attempts this year. And they got Ray Harrison and Gabe McLaughlin, who are all over 100 in free throw attempts. So I like Grand Canyon a lot in this game. 29 wins. Bryce Drew, they're going to win a tournament game. Give me the Antelopes.
I got a Grand Canyon win this one also. Thanks for not talking me out of it.
There you go. Alabama Charleston is the next matchup here.
This is on Friday, True TV, 6:35 p.m. Central Time. Alabama opened as a 10.5-point favorite. It's moved to 9.5.
Well, Alabama's MO all season has been we can score, but we can't defend. The 112th in defense. The efficiency, they're second in offense. I mean, yeah, this Alabama team is nowhere near as good as last year. I don't think there's any debating that. They haven't been playing very well either. They lost to Kentucky and then Tennessee and Florida and then Florida again. And they're giving up a lot of points. SEC is just a different style of basketball. But they can, offensively, their metrics are about as good as anybody. I mean, obviously, they're second in the country, so pretty much everybody but UConn. In Charleston, from a defensive perspective, not great. Much stronger offensively. That's their MO. They don't turn the ball over. They make twos. They make a lot of threes, 39.5%. They're 13th in the country in point distribution. The thing with Alabama, they're bigger, more experienced, stronger. I think a lot of people will look at this and be like, yeah, let's take Charleston as a 13 seed. Give me Alabama.
Yeah, I got Alabama.
Charleston, by the way, lost by 18 to Duquesne in non-conference play.
Wow.
Fun fact, gave up 90 points. They gave up 90 points to Duquesne. They might give up 190 to Alabama. So
No kidding.
Might be a bit of a concern. Clemson, New Mexico is the next matchup here. 6-11.
Yeah, True TV, Friday, 2:10 p.m. This is why Vegas should seed teams. New Mexico, 1.5-point favorite.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Should you trust an NCAA tournament team that doesn't play a zone defense and has Joe Girard on it?
No.
Yeah, Clemson has no chance in this one, folks. New Mexico's hot, coming in hot. I think one of the conference tournament winners in this bracket on the, notable conferences, top 8 conferences, one of them's going to lose, and that's why I picked against St. Mary's. So I think New Mexico gets it done here. Here's the thing about Clemson. New Mexico doesn't turn the ball over. Clemson doesn't turn teams over. So that's more possessions right there. And I think that's going to play a bit of a factor. And New Mexico turns teams over, and Clemson is also very good at not turning the ball over. But it's a tournament; it's a different animal. How's the free throw line going to be? How big of a factor is that going to play? Because Clemson's 8th in the country in free throw percentage, and they score from inside. And I think that they can expose themselves on New Mexico defensively. But when it comes down to it, I like Jalen House and I like Jamal Mashburn a lot more than Joe Girard and Chase Hunter. That is what it is. So give me New Mexico. I just think I think Clemson, I don't see them winning this game. I have not envisioned it one time.
Yeah. I got New Mexico also.
New Mexico is also way more fun. I mean, PJ Hall is a great player, but I don't know. This next game here's the absolute lock of the century. Everybody put their entire savings on this.
This is a Friday game on True TV, 11:40 a.m. Baylor opened as a 12.5 point favorite. It's moved up to 13.5.
The spread should be 130.5. Baylor is going to destroy Colgate. Everybody wants to talk about Colgate. Oh, every year, they.
Uh-oh, he broke. Uh-oh. Guys, I don't know how to do this. This isn't my job. We both have Baylor winning. Maybe he'll be back here soon. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Guys, I don't even take notes on this stuff. Oh.
Where Lango get a hold of my feed?
We got 8 of you on here now.
Yeah. Colgate has no chance in this game. Colgate can't shoot the basketball. It's that simple, folks. They can't shoot. Baylor by 100.
Baylor by 100. Sounds good to me.
Dayton, Nevada. One of the harder games to pick here.
That's a Thursday game at 3:30. Nevada is a 1.5 point favorite.
Man, I don't like what I saw from Dayton in the A-10 tournament, losing to Duquesne.
Yeah.
Another factor for Dayton is they're going to have the best player on the floor, so they got that going for them with Teron Holmes, big-time player, definitely the best player in the A-10. They went 14-4 in conference play. They shoot 40% from three, the third in the country. They're really good offensively, solid defensively. Lost to Houston by 14, lost to Northwestern by 5 in the non-conference, and then went from a 3-2 start to being 16-2. They won 13 games in a row after losing to Houston. 13 games in a row. Yeah, 13. Offensively they had it until they didn't. Like Duquesne blitzed them. Duquesne got them. They scored 57 points against Duquesne after finishing the season by scoring 91 against VCU, who can defend, by the way. VCU 43rd in the country in defensive efficiency. Dayton is good. I like the profile of that team, but there's something about Nevada. I don't know what it is. Mountain West. Should we ever trust them in the tournament?
You're back on the Mountain West train now, huh?
I'm just worried. Like last year, San Diego State got to the title game, which kind of saved the Mountain West because they always lose early.
Yeah.
Nevada's more balanced for sure. This is one of the harder picks in the entire first round, I think.
Yeah, I'm taking Nevada.
I'm taking Dayton.
Okay.
I think Dayton's got the best player on the floor. I think their offense will figure it out. I don't think Nevada is going to have the same defensive intensity that we saw from Duquesne or Duquesne. Arizona, Long Beach State.
Thursday game on TBS, 1 p.m. Central. Arizona is 19.5 point favorite up to 20.5.
Arizona's not going to do it again, right?
No shot. Although, I don't know how much I trust this Arizona team this year.
I find it kind of hard to trust them as well.
Yeah. I mean,
the Long Beach State story is a great one, but I think Arizona's going to take care of business here.
I may have them going to the Final Four in this bracket that I made, but I don't know if I trust them.
Arizona simply is just so much better. I don't know.
Yeah.
than Long Beach State, not than last year's team.
Right.
But
Yeah. I agree.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Caleb Love, say what you will, the last time he played in the tournament, they went to the national championship game, and he hit the biggest shot in the Final Four. So, plus Kylan Boswell, it's just there's not enough consistency in that backcourt for me to love them to go that deep. But I don't think they're going to have any problems here. Long Beach State can't shoot. 303rd in three-point percentage, 31%. And they also lost 5 straight. So they won 5 straight, then lost 5 straight, then won 3 straight to finish the season. So who knows?
Who knows?
Can't get a read on them. I think Arizona takes care of them, though, easily.
I agree.
All right, let's go up to the south.
For sure. Oh, Houston Longwood. Friday game, 8:20 p.m. on TNT. Houston opened as a 23.5 point favorite, up to 24.5 now.
Why do we have 2 viewers now? What happened?
Mine says 54.
Oh, the Twitter's not showing for me.
Hmm.
Anyway, 2 viewers sounds about right.
Bootzilla says West regions have top seeds that I don't trust. North Carolina, Arizona, Baylor, Bama. Wouldn't surprise me if one or all didn't get out of the first weekend.
Who do you trust the most out of those 4?
Who do I trust?
Yeah.
Alabama.
Answer a question from your guy, Bootzilla.
Alabama. That's who I trust the most.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Are you a one-dimensional team guy?
I am. Yeah. I want
Illinois.
teams that play like Illinois to advance. Yeah. I have Kentucky in the Final Four too, if that tells you how I feel about teams this year. Offense wins championships. I don't care what they said back in the 40s.
Sure.
Whatever. Anyways.
Let's just say this. Alabama better hope they play St. Mary's in the second round.
Who do you trust the most? Baylor, I would assume you would say.
No, I'd probably go North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Just think they didn't care about the ACC championship, or you think NC State was just too hot?
Somebody had to do some magic, It was going to be Temple or NC State.
Yeah.
5 in 5 days. Somebody had to do it. All right, Houston. We all know about Houston. Let's look at the profile of Longwood here.
Yeah.
The Lancers, Griff Aldrich, the head coach. I believe they were in the tournament last year, so I believe this is 2 in a row for them. Nope, it was 2 years ago. Sorry. Last year, the Big South. Wait a second. Hold on. Oh, it was UNC Asheville out of the Big South last year. Okay, so 2 years ago, they were 14 seed. They went 15-1 in the conference that year. This year, they went 6-10 in the conference. So not a great year from them. They don't really do anything well offensively outside of 34.2% from threes. Not bad. I don't know if they reach 40 points here. I got to be honest. I think it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I
mean, Houston's defense is.
If Houston's up for it, I think they could hold them under 40. So give me Houston by a lot.
Same.
Nebraska, Texas A&M, the 8-9.
Hold on. I wasn't ready. It's Friday, 5:50 p.m. Central Time. It is on TNT. Nebraska, 3.5 point favorite, has already moved down to 1.5. Nobody is trusting the Huskers.
Yeah, I have a couple problems with the Texas A&M profile that scare me. Like, this team is 31st in offense from an efficiency standpoint, but they shoot 28% from 3. They're 353rd in 3-point percentage and 301st in 2-point percentage. Like, that is almost impossible to be that bad and be 31st in efficiency. And it's because they don't turn the ball over and they have the highest offensive rebounding percentage in the country. And Nebraska, not great at cleaning the glass in the defensive end, 223rd in percentage. So, I mean, look, a lot of people are going to like Nebraska in this game. It was a great story to be their first ever NCAA tournament win. And I think Bryce Williams has to put up 20 in this game at least. Like, that's got to be your factor, because I think there's a couple bodies that Texas A&M can throw on Tominaga and make things harder on him. Because they have the guards. They've had the guards. Every year they've had the guards. This is a Texas A&M team that lost in the first round to a Big Ten team last year, Penn State. Nebraska, probably not as elite at Penn State offensively at that time, at least. Nebraska's still good offensively, but not to that level. And you have Wade Taylor and Tyrese Radford. Stick one of those guys or Obaseki on Tominaga and see what happens. As much as I hate the offensive profile and just the overall profile of Texas A&M, I don't like this team at all, but I'm going to take Texas A&M.
I'll stick with the Big Ten. Give me Nebraska.
I want Nebraska to win.
Tominaga he's going to go 8 for 9 from 3.
Well, Texas A&M doesn't have Terrence Shannon Jr. walking through that door, I suppose, defensively. Who, by the way, just, that's a lost storyline from the fact that he had 40 in that game, is that he shut Tominaga down.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that for the people in the national media out there. They just want to talk about, Iowa State got screwed, and FAU Northwestern, what a matchup, and please. Wisconsin, James Madison.
This is a CBS game on Friday, 8:40 p.m. Wisconsin opened as a 4.5 point favorite. It's now a 5.5 point spread.
Interesting. What do you think about this game?
I think that this is going to be a game that a lot of people pick the 12 seed. And I think that they'll be wrong in that. I think Wisconsin's playing good basketball. And I think that, Wisconsin's I'm riding Big Ten heavy. So just say that.
So the 2 times that Wisconsin got to the Sweet 16 under Greg Gard, they were 110.1 offensive efficiency and 115.1. Last year they were 106.9. This year they're 120.1. They're not as strong defensively as they've been in the past, but I think there's a lot of matchup players that are going to present problems for teams. And I think James Madison might fall victim to that. They won 13 games in a row. Yeah. That could be, a little bit of a scary thing. But they rolled through most of the Sun Belt and the tournament. I mean, they beat Texas State by 5, but they beat Arkansas State by 20 in the championship game. They can shoot it. They defend the 3 really well. They obviously beat Michigan State. That's a big factor. The first game of the season was a big deal at the time. I don't think that they're going to have the answer for AJ Storr and, Chucky Hepburn. I think James Madison profile-wise that's a pretty tough matchup for Wisconsin. I would hate this matchup if I were a Wisconsin fan, but I still think Wisconsin gets it done.
Tyler Wall is going to have to start showing up for Wisconsin for them to make a run. He seems kind of just there lately. So,
yeah, he took 3 shots yesterday, fouled out.
Yeah.
The game before that, he took 9 shots, fouled out. Purdue did not care. They said, shoot the 3, go ahead. He went 0 for 4.
Yeah.
And then the game before that, he took 1 shot, 3 fouls.
Last year, you couldn't stop him around the basket last year. So
he was like Damask.
Yeah.
I mean, he is much more efficient this year. He's taking less shots, yeah. 56% from 2 this year, 44% last year. I think 2 years ago is what you're talking about. That was his big year.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Shot 57% from 2, and they made the tournament. So either way, yeah, he's got to figure it out. I do think everything about just maybe it's a Big Ten bias from here, because I feel like James Madison's a great pick in terms of just fitting the profile. Like, they got size, they got guys that can shoot, but I just have a feeling that Wisconsin's going to get it done. Duke and Vermont.
Friday game, CBS, 6:10 p.m. Duke is an 11.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I mean, Duke, obviously not the most encouraging thing that they lost NC State in their first game of the ACC tournament. This is a team that's the lead offensively. They're good defensively. They shoot it from 3 well, 37.7%. Filipowski is going to be the best player on the floor no matter what. McCain has had some huge games here. If Proctor can figure it out, Roach and Mitchell as well amongst their main guys or mainstays that are playing. Vermont, this is not the best Vermont team. There's several teams in the tournament this year that are mainstays in the tournament from a low major perspective, but not as good as previous teams in the tournament. So, for example, Colgate, they're in the tournament again, but they're not as good as other Colgate teams that have made the tournament. Vermont in the tournament again, not as strong as other Vermont teams that have been in the tournament. Vermont, fine defensively. That's all fine. Offensively, it's going to be hard. I think Duke can hold them under 65 and win the game. I worry about Vermont's inability to score. This team put up 61 points against Liberty. They put up 51 against Virginia Tech. So give me Duke.
Yeah, I got Duke.
Which brings us to a rematch. If that happens, it gives us a rematch of the 2015 national title game. I wonder what the number of NBA players on the floor in that game would be compared to this one. Because I think Storrs is eventually going to be an NBA guy. Filipowski, McCain, Proctor. It's going to be another Duke one that I'm missing. But that had Kaminsky, Okafor, Decker. I don't know. Somebody look that up. Who am I missing on Duke's side? Caleb Foster's eventually going to be an NBA guy for sure. Sean Stewart maybe as well. Anyway, Roach could be like a late second-round pick. Anyway, maybe I'm just talking out of school there, whatever. Texas Tech, NC State, the 6-11 in this region.
Thursday, CBS, 8:40 p.m. Texas Tech opened as a 5.5-point favorite, down 4.5.
You want me to ask you what you think about this game?
Excited about NC State. I don't know anything about this game. Let the big fella work. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, DJ Burns, the big man. Yeah, I think NC State's gonna get rolled. I gotta be honest.
I would agree with that.
It's a cute story, but this is a pretty bad basketball team overall. I mean, you look at this season, they finished from February 7th on. They lost to Pitt, lost to Wake Forest, beat Clemson by 1, lost to Syracuse, beat Boston College, lost to Florida State, lost to North Carolina, lost to Duke, and then magically win 5 in 5 days to win the ACC tournament. DJ Burns is a fun story, a very good player, was really elite at Winthrop. And DJ Horn's a fine guy. Like, this is it's okay basketball team, but I just think Texas Tech's going to bring it. They're going to be ready. Pop Isaacs can make the big shots you need. And the difference between this Texas Tech team and other Texas Tech teams that have made runs in the tournament, this one's not as good. This is not as good as the Chris Beard team with Kevin McCullough and Terrence Shannon and Mac McClung being there at some point as well. But they can score it. They're 23rd in offensive efficiency, 38th in the country in three-point percentage. They are top 100 in experience. They're older. They got the horses. They got Isaacs. They got Toussaint, who's been around the block, former Iowa, West Virginia. Darion Williams, we all saw score, shoot 100% from the field and put up 30 or whatever against Kansas. Chance McMillian, the Grand Canyon transfer. I believe he's a Grand Canyon transfer. But I think Texas Tech's going to win this game, and I think it's going to be comfortably.
Yeah, I got Texas Tech.
Kentucky, Oakland.
Bootzilla has Winslow, Allen, Cook, Tyus Jones for you.
Grayson Allen, Justice Winslow. Yep. There you go. That's bunch of NBA players. Anyway.
Oakland, Kentucky, CBS game. Thursday, 6:10 p.m. Kentucky, 13.5-point favorite.
Woo. I mean, Oakland can frustrate them,
Yeah.
They can frustrate them. They got some shooters, they got some shooting whites, This won't be quite the matchup that Kentucky Wofford was that one year when Fletcher McGee was raining in threes for the Terriers, but it'll be interesting for sure. I think Kentucky will take care of business. I think it'll be a little closer than people want it to be if you're a Kentucky fan. But, give me Kentucky. I mean, you look at Oakland this year, held their own with some good teams. They lost to Ohio State by 6. I believe they had a second-half lead against Illinois and lost by 11. Lost to Drake by 8. So, I mean, this is a team that can hang around, but I don't see them being good enough to figure it out. What I will say, if you're John Calipari in this game and your team has struggled defensively the way that they have, I would challenge the younger guards or the bigger guards. I would challenge them and say, hey, Go look at what Terrence Shannon did to Jack Golke in the second half against Illinois, or Blake Lampman. Like, shut those guys down, because those are the 3-point shooters, 37%, 37%, both of them. They can kill you if they're making threes. But outside of that, I'd like to see Kentucky give up less than 80 points, so that'd be nice for them. I think it'd be hard for them not to give up, or not to get, like, they're not going to give up 80 points. But maybe, who knows? I'm taking Kentucky.
Same.
I have Florida, Colorado in this game.
Yeah, TBS, Friday, 3:30 p.m.
It's an interesting spot. I've gone back and forth on. I really like Florida's guards, but the injury to Handlington is tough. They still got 2 more bigs that have played similar minutes to him, not as many minutes, but similar. Colorado's got the talent. The consistency of Florida scares me.
Yeah.
We've seen performances from them where they've been like elite. And then we've seen other performances where it's like, this team kind of stinks.
Man.
But I don't know. This is maybe one of the harder games. These 7-10s are pretty hard. Give the committee credit. They screwed up everything else, but the 7-10s are pretty good. I don't know. Florida's good offensively, as most SEC teams are.
I'm taking
Colorado.
Florida.
I'm going to take Colorado. I think one of the 10 seeds from the play-in games gets a win. To give it to Colorado. Marquette, Western Kentucky is next.
Friday, 1 p.m. Trying to find the station. It's on TBS. Marquette opened as a 16.5-point favorite. It's down to 14.5.
Do you think Tyler Kolek plays if he's healthy enough?
Yes.
I would almost say don't even play him if he's not at like 80%. But
really,
this is a game that could get a little scary for Marquette. Yeah. Because Western Kentucky is the number 1 team in the country in tempo. They're going to run on you. And that's where it can get a little scary if they're scoring in transition. Marquette's got to be careful here. I will say, if there's a 2-15 that people don't see coming, it very well could be this game.
Really?
I am going to take Marquette, though. But be careful. I'm just saying, this could be a future clip that I'll use if Marquette loses. That I'm just saying, be careful. Let's go down now. Purdue and Montana State is the matchup I have.
Yeah, it's on Friday, 6:25 p.m. Let me find a channel for you. TBS.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Purdue wins this game. What do you say?
Yeah, definitely not going to lose again as a 1 seed, right?
Wasn't Virginia that year they won the national championship? Wasn't their first round game like close at the half when they were 1 seed again? I can look that up. I feel like I remember seeing that. And people be like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I think you could be right.
Let's see. They were playing Gardner Webb. Yeah, it was 36-30 Gardner Webb at the half in that game. Holy hell. That could happen again here. Like Montana State could be up at the half. Who knows? Now, I think Purdue's going to win this game by 40.
Yeah, a bajillion. Sure.
Utah State, TCU.
Friday game, TBS, 8:55 p.m. TCU opened as a 2.5-point favorite. It's now moved to a 3.5-point favorite. And I'm taking Utah State. So,
yeah, I've kind of told myself this entire season that I would pick Utah State to win their first tournament game no matter what.
Yeah.
I was hoping it wouldn't have been 8-9, maybe like a 6-11 game, but whatever. They're elite from inside the 3-point line, scoring. They got 2 really, really good players that they go to with Osabor and Darius Brown. I think they got the better duo between the 2 teams. TCU, to me, I thought would be much better offensively than they were this year. They're 44th in efficiency. I thought they'd be better than that. They do distribute the ball pretty well, 21st in assists per field goals made. They have Jameer Nelson Jr. there, Emmanuel Miller, Micah Peavy, Avery Anderson. A lot of good names in terms of college basketball, but I think Utah State's going to get it done. I think I have no answer for the duo of Utah State. Let's do Gonzaga McNeese.
Thursday game, TBS, 6:25 p.m. Gonzaga opened as a 5.5 point favorite. They are now a 6.5 point favorite.
I love Gonzaga in this game. I have liked McNeese all season, but guess what? You know what my number one concern is right now about McNeese?
What's that?
Does their head coach have 1 foot out the door? Right?
Old, yep, small school jinx. Coach
don't
care.
I know he signed a 5-year extension in February.
Those big schools don't care about that.
He can leave.
Yeah.
Unless there's something in the extension that says he can't leave in the first 6 months or something, which there can't be, right? He's only making $700K a year. By the way,
think he can work himself back in this quickly to power conference?
I feel like he should.
I mean, it doesn't matter now, right? I mean, he can give the bag to whoever, whenever.
I mean, here's the bottom line. He went to McNeese in the Southland Conference, which has been one of the 5 worst conferences pretty much every year forever, and went 30-3 and 17-1. So
pretty good.
Either way, I like Gonzaga. I know McNeese is a darling to everybody, and I liked him all year too. I love Shahada Wells and Shoemate and Garcia and Collum and Richards. I like the team a lot.
You just hate that
they're really good.
Their 5 matchup is Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzaga, I think, is trending in the right direction. I know St. Mary's beat them, but that game meant way more to St. Mary's than it did to Gonzaga. And Gonzaga finished the season winning 7 in a row and then beat San Francisco by 12. Nembhard's figuring it out. I think Graham Ike is going to be the biggest factor in this game. I don't think that McNeese is going to have an answer for him underneath. He is a strong player. He had 24 against St. Mary's, 26 against San Francisco, 26 against Santa Clara. He's been a force recently. And you know what else he can do? He plays the 5, but he also shoots 78% from the free throw line. So if he's drawing fouls, he can make free throws. Give me Gonzaga. I like McNeese a lot, and I hate that this is the matchup. I wish they were playing, Wisconsin or San Diego State, but I got 1-5-12 upset.
Oh, it's this close for you switching me, but I'm going to stick with McNeese.
Hater.
I'm going to stick with him.
Next up, we got Kansas and Samford.
TBS Thursday, 8:55 at night. Kansas opened as an 8.5 point favorite. It is now 7.5.
It's not a surprise.
People hate Kansas.
I love Samford in this game.
Does I mean is the Dickinson and McCullough healthy, or what's? Do you have any clue on that?
I haven't seen anything. Haven't heard anything. I don't know. I assume they're both going to play, but they're not going to be 100%. There's no way. Physics would suggest, something would suggest otherwise. Science.
Kinetics.
Whatever. I've talked about Samford enough. They shoot it well from 3. They press the shit out of teams. They're undersized, but they're making threes. Samford's got a 5'8" point guard. Okay. Dwan Harris is only 6'2". He doesn't look 6'2". No way he's 6'2". So give me Samford.
I got Kansas winning this. Samford sucks. Jeffrey's been telling me that all year. I would love to see Purdue Samford again, though. Huh?
Yeah, it's a chance. God, imagine thinking Samford sucks. Just watch them play, and you'll see that they don't suck. South Carolina, Oregon.
TNT Thursday, 3 p.m. South Carolina 1.5 point favorite.
I'm wearing the Oregon shirt.
Yeah.
So part of me is thinking I got to pick Oregon, right? But
not pick Oregon.
This is maybe the most popular pick in the bracket. Everybody's taking Oregon. Everybody loves the Ducks. I don't know.
Who doesn't?
I have trouble thinking that Oregon's just going to show up and win this game.
You think that people love the Ducks, or they just don't like South Carolina?
Probably mix of both, yeah.
Okay.
Give me Oregon.
I got Oregon also.
Creighton, Akron.
TNT Thursday, 12:30. Creighton, 12.5-point favorite, moved to 13.5.
See ya, John Gross. Give me the Blue Jays.
Agree.
And then I'm taking Texas over Colorado State. And then Tennessee over St. Peter's. I'm speeding this up.
Perfect.
I just got so much in front of me where
That was a great breakdown by you, by the way.
Man,
Are we gonna tell the fans what our Final Four prediction is right now?
I'm gonna fill out the rest of mine real quick here.
Okay, I'll tell them mine.
Go ahead.
I got Illinois versus Arizona on the left side. I got Kentucky, Purdue on the right side. And I got Illinois beating Purdue for a national championship.
Wow, that's the dumbest bracket I've ever seen, but yeah, it's good.
8 p.m. after a nice Eagle Rare in the hot tub. This is what I chose. All right.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, no doubt. I'm filling out this bracket here on the computer so I can show when I'm done here. Boom. Boom.
Only have one seed in the Elite Eight.
Boom.
Thank you, Bootsella.
Yep. Yep.
Yurt.
Yep.
Skirt.
Yep. 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 Yep.
You better not Seth Davis this and give me chalk in the Final Four.
It's not chalk, but it's not far from that, I guess. I'm still stuck on this Houston-UConn national championship matchup. I don't know if I'm going to come off of that.
Really? So you are Seth Davis-ing us.
Not in the way that you would think.
Brutal.
All right, so I got UConn over Illinois in the Elite Eight, Houston over Kentucky, Creighton over Gonzaga, and Arizona over North Carolina. So Final Four, UConn, Arizona, Houston, Creighton.
So my Washington State over Iowa State was stupid, but you can pick Drake over them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Drake's
Gonzaga over Purdue?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, why not?
Ride them.
By the way, Grand Canyon over Alabama. So throw that out there. And Wisconsin, Sweet 16.
I did have Grand Canyon winning that game also, but then getting beat by Alabama. Alabama to the Elite Eight.
My final bracket could still shift, I guess, but that's where I'm at right now. Who knows?
This is what I have here is what I'm submitting for our thing. So
I still got to do that. It'll probably be something similar to this, though. So,
yep.
All right. I think we've all seen enough. We'll be back with the Illini basketball podcast tomorrow, and then we will have either a round of 64 recap and round of 32 preview, or just a Sweet 16 preview or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but we'll see everybody tomorrow on the